Alex is a little sad. He's losing the hair pull. He's trying to rally you some points, some votes. Okay, so up next we have Ryan Hanna and David Frahm from Sworkit. Ryan, you came from England. David, where are you from?
Missouri.
Missouri. Awesome. Nice distributed team.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
It's only the second time we've seen each other in real life.
Wow.
So
Glad we could bring you together.
It's hard to talk without emojis, so we're gonna do what we can.
So this is our second case study of the day. It's about Sworkit. It's one of the top health and fitness apps with over 13 million downloads. So very popular app. I'm excited to hear the story. So I'll let you guys take it from here.
All right, cool. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. So we're here to talk about how you can build and market your own apps. So maybe you're a single developer or part of a small team, and you've done all this work or you're about to do all this work, and then you're going to get something out there. And we all know that you can't just put something out there and expect everyone to come rushing to it and you run off and make a bunch of money and just retire. So we're going to talk about some things that we can do as developers or people who maybe don't have any marketing background at all, or even like startup background. So trying to actually create a business out of this thing. So we're going to try and go through some of those and look at a pretty transparent look at Sworkit's history with actual real data and real download numbers. Okay, so like he mentioned, Sworkit's a top 5 fitness app, and basically it provides video-based workouts, as you can see. Been featured by Apple, Google, and Amazon. I'm Ryan. I created the first version of this app back in 2012 when I was teaching myself to code.
And I'm David. I joined Sworkit about a year ago. I joined the team as they were really starting to grow, and I'm trying to bring my background. I've been a developer for a little over 20 years, and my background in large agile development teams, bringing that small scale to an early stage startup.
All right. So first we're going to start off with a 5-minute workout. So if everyone, just kidding, it's okay. I'll save you there. So we're actually we're gonna go through and look at, it's gonna give you kind of a chronological story of where it started in 2012 to where it is now. Talk about some things you want to do when you're kind of getting started. Talk about some development and startup tips, some free and paid marketing things that you can try out, and actually some emotional considerations as you're building your startup and you're making your app and no one's using it and you're kind of sad about that. And then we're going to hopefully be able to do some live marketing demonstration here. So instead of live coding, we'll see if the marketing gods are on our side. Okay, so lesson 1 for getting started is version 1 will be your worst version. So don't try and spend all your time trying to get to the final solution. This was originally created as a side project, and it wasn't until 2014 until it became a full-time job. As much hate as it gets, and feel bad about it, but I do thank the jQuery mobile team because it actually was something available and let this happen at that time. Nobody ever thanks them, but
yeah, my first hybrid app was jQuery mobile as well.
Exactly. So it got us to where we are today. Yeah, in terms of bootstrapping, so you can see jQuery. You can see that's me in a Green Man suit. Wife came home and I was standing there with a camera in a Green Man suit, and I said, we need to take some photos. So that's how it started. So just don't spend any money at first. That's my big piece of advice. And make something that you'll want to use. So if you're making something that you're going to use, you're going to be that perfect user, that perfect tester, and the content expert.
Yeah, cool. So it's important to think about that this advice is for startups. A startup means it's a new business model. So this is not another McDonald's that gives you a prescription of you do these things, pay this money, whatever, and you will make money. That's kind of a guaranteed thing. So startups are different. And in order to do that, in order to figure out that business model, you need to build fast. So time to market is not about getting there first, but rather iterating more and experimenting more, failing more so that the successes can come sooner as well. So you want to build an MVP. You want to try to resist building very much. You want to build as little as possible so that you can validate your idea. You want to build on top of existing systems and frameworks. So not only hybrid apps like we're talking about here today, but I'm a competent developer. I could custom write websites and landing pages, but instead, when I kind of in startup mode, I use landing page hosting services, do WordPress websites, that sort of thing.
Cool. So again, touching on some of the emotional side of actually building something and putting it out there for the world to see. So Sworkit, again, side project, 100 downloads was going to be awesome. And it took a while to even get there. Well, actually, it kind of went from like 10 to way more. So we'll talk about that later. But think of every project as a learning experience. Don't think of like, this has got to be the one that works. Think about the whole process that you're going through. Whether that means that what you've been working on, if it doesn't continue to be what you work on, the next month, there's code that you're going to reuse. You can add it to your portfolio. You can use it in interviews to go through. Just enjoy the process and learn how to fail and just accept that. And don't get bummed if it doesn't work out and just keep going.
So early on, everything's a mess. Your business is just hustling and your priorities are changing every day as you're trying to figure out who to partner with and how to market things and all that stuff. The same is true, obviously, for your code base. It's more you're hacking. It's like a startup, if you make it like a year or two, it's like a year or two long hackathon. It's like you don't have time to do anything right. You don't feel like the code is crap. But at some point, like with Sworkit, you have some success and you start to sort of take inventory of those things, and it's kind of cleanup time. I agree. I loved a lot of things that I've heard today about testing and continuous integration and all that stuff. I'm really big into that. I don't normally start a project with that, but I add those things in as it seems to make sense. For our team, we use a blend of sort of methodologies and processes. So we have a blend of Agile, Scrum, Lean, Extreme Programming, things that our team has used other places, and we bring that together and we use whatever is right for us.
Cool. So here's kind of how we're going to be going through things today. So this is a look at the actual kind of real growth that Sworkit's been through since 2012. What we're using here is daily download numbers. We have other metrics. You'll have other metrics that you actually care most about. We care more about people actual workouts being finished, but this helps to kind of just show what we're going to go through. And then you have kind of some times along the bottom, and we'll kind of break up these chunks and look at specific spikes or growths and see kind of what was going on at that time. All right, so in terms of free marketing, so the first time marketing money was ever spent on Sworkit was kind of late, or actually in 2015. So there's a lot of free things that you can do to kind of help yourself get from 0 to whatever number. So a couple of them we're going to talk about the top. I'll go through those quicker. So share your story. So has anybody heard of Sworkit? Yes, because I'm speaking about it. There you go. Or because maybe I've reached out to Ionic, to PhoneGap, to Jen, let them know kind of like what's been, what we've been doing, and you can kind of build that relationship, and they want to write about it as much as you want them. They want to write about you as much as you want them to write about it. So reach out to those people, engage with your users. So, they're going to be the ones that are telling other people about it. So, find those unique opportunities in your app to ask for reviews. Take the time to actually reach out to users if you can, and set up like time to talk to one a week. That way you just kind of like know what's going on with them. And then they're like, oh, I talked to like the developer of Sworkit. It was great. So they're going to kind of champion that as well. And they can give you really great feedback on what to do next. Creating content. So again, doing your own social media newsletters. It doesn't have to be pretty. Just do a little bit at a time, kind of set some up and let it, you can use things to kind of schedule it out in advance. That way you don't have the emotional toll of like trying to think of something every single day and trying to make it amazing every single time. All right, so we're going to go through the bottom three in a bit more detail. So influencer outreach. So this tweet that you see up here is kind of what started, that you see the 0 to like 1 to 2 to about 3,500. And I didn't really know this word existed, influencer outreach, but it's just this kind of mindset of, targeting the exact individual who you think might be able to write about what you're doing. So maybe that's because you've seen them write about something similar in their publications. And again, it's not like you say you reach out to like contact@something.com. You find like one individual who you really want to focus on. Personalize that message to them. They get emails every day. We get emails every day from people who want us to use their API, SDK sort of thing. They're just sometimes don't even like say who we are, and you're just like, all right, this is just blasted out. So personalize it. Go ahead and keep it short. So just give them enough information so that they don't get bored reading it and they don't want to like skip through and they're just like, okay, never mind. Relate to their actual audience. Tell them why you think that who they're writing to are actually going to read about it, and provide images and promo codes if they're applicable. All right, one more for me. Another one, so engaging communities. So this is where we can kind of reach out to where our actual users are, kind of think outside of like the TechCrunch and the Mashables. Like we're not making apps for designers and for developers. We're making apps for the normal common users. So go where they are, make sure that you can kind of hit them up. If you're starting out, or if you don't have an idea yet, you can kind of do what Strava, Twitch did. They looked at giant communities who didn't have resources already and then built their app around that. So you've already got a large audience that you can engage with. You can see Pinterest here, just kind of trying to do some hacking of following different people on Pinterest, and luckily one just happened to pin about it and they had like 3 million followers. So you can just see the impact that can have.
Okay, so as you grow, the problems that you run into on any given day aren't the same problems that you'll have 2 months later if you have good growth. So don't try to be perfect. If you sit and solve every problem that you have, then you're missing out on a lot of opportunity to grow your startup. So solve the problems that keep you from moving forward, and then go do the other things that you need to do. So you want to start out manually. You don't want to automate a lot of things. This is like everything, not just development, but like Paul Graham said, quoted as saying, do things that don't scale. So like Jeff Bezos with Amazon, that story where he walked down to a shoe store and took pictures of their shoes, came back to his house, put them online for sale, and then people bought the shoes, and whichever ones they actually bought, then he goes back to the store and actually buys them, puts them in a box and ships them. And through that process, that's why we have Amazon. So, is that Zappos? Zappos, sorry. So that's how Zappos, anyway. So yeah, so that's the kind of example of like, do you even need an app? Do you even need, all those things that you think you need? As a developer, that's just really something that you should think about a lot. So you want to take advantage of the fact that when you first come out with something, a product or service, you're going to have early adopters, or at least you should. You should have people who just love your idea, then you're giving them so much value that they're fine with some bugs, they're fine with some rough edges, and they'll give you feedback. So you don't even want like 1 million users on day one because your product is crap. But even though it's crap, it has this little nugget of like real value to the right people, and they're the ones that you need to reach. So you want to iterate and validate that and find that fit. You can go ahead.
All right, so another just quick one, just because it was something that, had one of these very big spikes that we can look at. So if you can, so Sworkit happened to have a paid version as well. If you can do some of these campaigns that are like free for a day or giving away a certain amount of in-app purchase for a day, go for them. They're free to do. And then there's another thing here, like cross-promoting with other similar apps, or try and reach out to them if you know that they offer some sort of like API that you can tap into. So now you have access to their user base as well.
So in this graph, this data shows a slowdown at the end of 2013. And, like I said, it's a startup, it's a new business model. We didn't really know what to expect. You could maybe say, well, most like gyms, membership gyms, they go through a slowdown. So we, keep your fingers crossed, and hopefully that's the same thing for us as the mobile app. And it turned out it was. So we waited around, and then New Year's comes around, and then you see the big spike there from New Year's, and then we've seen that trend every year. So we kind of know how that works now. But you'll go through a lot of frustrations and failures, but that is learning, and learning is progress. So some problems are good to have. Like, for example, I've lost some weight recently, so now my clothes don't fit. Well, that's like kind of a problem, but it's a good problem to have. So as you grow, you might have more users and your servers don't fit. You need bigger servers or something. So, those are headaches, and you want to focus on this and that, and then now you've got to find somebody to fix your servers or make them bigger or whatever. So keep perspective that a lot of the problems you'll have, hopefully, they're good problems to have.
All right, so when you do start to think about paid marketing, maybe this is a strategy that if you have the money, you're going to do it up front. The biggest recommendation that I have is experiment across, as many different platforms as you can. So 2015 was the first year that we started doing any. You can definitely see the growth there, 2x downloads. We tried quite a few. They're great because you can target, just target the specific demographics that you want. All of them have a feature to do it. This is kind of Facebook's one, down to location, things they like, other apps they use. The goal is to find the best return on investment. So for us, Pinterest happened to work really well because it's people looking for workouts, wanting to share them, and actually it's kind of a younger ad platform, so it's cheaper. So you get more for your buck.
There's a really good, we didn't have this in the slide, but there's a really good book, Traction. It has a really good process, so if you can read and follow instructions, even if you don't know anything about marketing or even social media, it'll help you. It has like 19 or so different markets. It gives you like this scientific way to go through and find like what is the best channel for what you have, and then you double down on that, so forth.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm talking about growing the team the right way. So grow at the rate that's right for you, not at what people say. If they're saying go out, you got to hire all these people. Just take your time. Start with as few people as you can. Make the right choices in your frameworks. Just keep things simple for that small team. Without PhoneGap, this wouldn't even have been possible to be able to actually build this with a couple of months of experience. Just taking that website, putting it in, and distributing it. So that was a good choice. You can see there we have Ionic, which we added in. That was like adding a giant team for free. Sorry, I don't pay you any money, but you don't give me an opportunity. So you can see where the growth has gone through there over time, and now we're at a point where we can actually continue to grow only as necessary with where we're going.
Yeah. So early on, we needed a very specific thing, like, we've got to have an Apple Watch app, or we want to at least try that and see what that does, and we want to experiment with that. So we'll go get a contractor, and we don't really care anything about them as long as they can.
Kind of care about them.
Well, we don't. Yeah, it's different. Yes, I have been many, many times. And I was with Sworkit. Yeah. So that's how, you start out like, all we need is this thing for you to do. But now we have a longer view of things. So now we're looking for people who have a little bit more general skills. We need them to be able to deliver on a few focused things probably, but that can't be all they know, because we have to wear a lot of hats. And so we care about people being a little bit more generalized. We care about diversity and getting outside of our own little bubble and our own little networks for hiring. And we hire for trajectory, I like to call it. So we find people. I have a lot of experience interviewing developers, so I'm trying to use that hopefully to help Sworkit. So we find developers because we still don't have millions of dollars. So we've got to find people who we can pay fairly well, but maybe not super great, but they're at the right point where they can help us. But I see a lot of potential in them. We see a lot of potential in them, and so that's going to be a good long-term relationship. So that's kind of hiring outlook we have now.
Sounds good. And when you're looking at this chart, no matter what David tells you later, that's not the David effect. Although it kind of is, but he likes to claim that big jump there. So So now we're going to try something. We got some time. Good. Should take. So what we're going to try and do instead of live coding is a bit of live marketing. So here we go. So I reached out, found another PhoneGap. So another hybrid app that is done, have been done with Ionic as well. And we're just going to try this and see how it goes. So I'm trying to demonstrate the influencer outreach that I was talking about earlier. I got to get on the right computer in there. Okay, so we're taking Justin Knowles' Kids in Touch app. So it's an app for safe texting for kids. So I'm pretending I'm him, and I'm thinking I want more people to know about this. And I'm redirecting. Okay, so something you would do is you would start to look at your competitors, other people who are in the space. So, we happen to be able to look down here. We can see what other customers bought. We're going to choose Tokumail. I'm trying to pretend I didn't practice this earlier, but I did. So, so then we can get here. We can kind of go. So now what I want to do is find out, hey, have they been able to get anything? Get other people talking about what they're doing. So we're going to go to their website and have a look. A lot of companies will have this nice button down here for us called Press. So we're going to check that out. So they've been written about in a few different places. I recognize App Advice. So I think, all right, well, if they can get in, I can get in. So I'm just going to search for that article that they were in. I can find it. And then you kind of look at it, make sure they didn't say terrible things. They're trying to bash it. They don't have kids. This person happens to have a 6-year-old daughter. That's a plus. In a good way, we can use that to our advantage. So we're going to see what Brent can help us out with. In this situation, we're getting pretty lucky. They've got the email address there for us. But let's kind of pretend that they didn't have the email address. So we know his name's Brent. We know he works for App Advice. So what we're going to do is just look up some sort of real email address checker. This is not stocky. It's fine. So we're just going to take a guess. I mean, think of your email address. It's probably your first name at whatever company, or first name dot last name, or first initial. So let's just check if Brent's watching this. That's fine. Before we know that we want to reach out to them, let's just make sure we maybe have a good email address. I can tell, yep, there we go. So this is probably a good email address for us to try. So now we're going to send our influencer outreach to them. We're going to follow those rules to, reach back, maybe talk about the story that they had written before. That's why we reached out to them. Tell them about our app, show them some pictures, and just let them get on with it and see if they want to write about it. So that was one method. So that's kind of the going in, looking at competition side of things. Another side of things is if you were, so we're trying to imagine, we're just imagining out of the blue a place that might want to write about our app. So for this app, some sort of parents, magazines. So I like searching Twitter for this sort of thing. So we're going, oh, incognito. Okay, hold on. We'll switch.
There is a search there if you're looking for.
Oh, is there? Where is it? Oh, yeah, there is. I can't see that. Okay. So we will search for Parents Magazine. Okay, so you get their feed and everything, but the really nice one is accounts. So now we're looking at the accounts. We can go through here. We can maybe search for editors. So we're looking for actual individual people there. So once you've found them, you may kind of go in, look at the types of articles that they've written, and then reach out to them that same way that we reached out to Brent. Or you could tweet right at them. If you can sell what you're trying to sell in 140 characters, then you're doing a good job of keeping that message short and clearly making it important for them. So that was that. If you have any...
you can obviously spend money and hire people who know how to do all this stuff, but a lot of us don't have that option. So,
yep. So give it a try. It's fun. All right. So what's left? So dealing with the emotional side of all of this. So you're going to go out, you're going to find a bunch of people, you're going to message a bunch of people, and maybe no one responds. So you're kind of thinking, all right, that was a waste of time. It wasn't a waste of time. You're learning, you're going to change your messaging, you're going to change who you're reaching out to. Spread it out over a few days. Don't sit down all in one day, send out a whole bunch, and then sit there and wait and then cry. Just spread it out. If it's really something you don't like, go somewhere, go to your happy place, go to a coffee shop and do it. And then, another just an interesting one. Like if you have bugs, like you have a paid app and you accidentally deploy all the code for your free app to it, and you have to pull it out of the app store. That happened. You get really sad about it, and then you get on with it. So, if you have a bug, respond to those people, let them know when it's been fixed. You actually build that trust back from them, and they can come kind of stick around with you for even longer.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to those early adopters. Be transparent. Take advantage of the fact that they probably really, really love what you're doing and want to see you succeed. Want to see you succeed so that they can continue to get value out of your product or service.
Yeah. So this was our story. Fortunately, it's been a good one. Your story will be different, and we want it to be successful. So if we can ever help you out with anything, please let us know. We're very happy to share kind of what we've been through. Let's all go somewhere big. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Really cool stuff.